Well, happy Friday, everybody. So I'm in a different place today. I just had a lab this morning with some PA students, and I have a lab this afternoon. So I am in a room at Emory, and I just ate a quick sandwich, but I didn't want to cancel today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I see Molly, I see Jasmine, I see Barb. I know Valerie's there behind the scenes. So let's see. I do have a drummer of the week today. So let me open that up. Hope everybody's doing okay, surviving the heat. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, my crazy, messy screen. Okay, so drummer of the week this week is Dom Famularo. So, Dom, I don't have his birth date, but you can kind of see approximately how old he is. He is still with us. The reason, well, I'll tell you why I chose Dom as we go along. So, who is Dom Famularo? Well, he is a teacher. Primarily, he's a drummer. But he's kind of known as being a drum educator. But he's also an author, a clinician, and he's really a motivational speaker. He is from Long Island, New York. He started playing when he was about 11. He became a professional at the age of 12. He did a lot with jazz, and he studied with some of the greatest drummers of the 20th century, including Jim Chapin, who wrote a really famous book, Advanced Technique for the Modern Drummer. It was kind of a torture book. I remember going through it in middle school, but it was really the book for jazz. And then he also studied with Joe Morello. His passion for not only jazz, but music and drumming is infectious. He began his successful drum teaching career and is really one of the most sought after clinicians anywhere. He actually still teaches via Zoom, and he has students all over the world. And some of the most successful jazz and rock drummers have had instruction from him, not because he's a really great technical player, but because he is just, I mean, look at that smile. He is a super nice guy. And I really think the reason I chose him, a lot of the times I choose somebody who, has a technical ability or does this or does that. But I think Dom is just a wonderful human being, and he just makes everybody want to play drums. He's just fun and interesting to listen to, and you can't help but be happy when you're engaged or listening to him. So that's why that motivational speaking part, he's been very inspirational to a lot of drummers. So I think I put this in red because this is how I think of him. I think of him as the drumming global ambassador. He's like somebody who promotes drumming, whether it be as an educator or just all over the place. He's known everywhere, he knows everybody. And he also is known, this is something I learned about him, that he does do open hand playing, which we've talked about before, where you're playing on your hi hat, where your hands are crossed. He actually plays, open hand. I've never noticed that about him, but if you look at this picture right here, that's exactly what he's doing. And you don't see that a lot in jazz drummers. You see that a lot in rock drummers, but not jazz. And so here's a picture of him showing some, different plaques and things. Um, he was the first drum instructor in the world to give lessons via the internet. I think he's been doing this long before COVID. So I think he's got students in every time zone in the world. And I think he basically all day long is on the internet. And I don't know that they talk so much about playing or technique, but just drumming in general. He just likes to talk about drumming. Um, he has traveled the globe for over 30 years. He is very well respected. And again, he's known really more for being an educator, promoter, just inspiring others. And so, a lot of drummers have this thing of, who's better than who and who can do this and who can't do that. And, you know, he's not that kind of a guy, and he doesn't try to be. He knows there are people that are not famous that are better than him, but he just has that personality to make everybody like want to play, and he's just very inspiring. And so that's why I chose him, because sometimes I choose people who have this amazing technical ability or they're super famous in this or that. Here's just a regular guy, likes to talk about drums, and he's done a lot for drumming all over the world. And there are these things called drum clinics. And so, a clinic sounds like you go to the hospital or something like that, but a drum clinic is where you go, usually at a music store. It's hosted. They bring in somebody and they talk and they play. And for an hour, they might start off with a solo of some kind, and then they'll talk and they'll demonstrate some stuff. And he does tons of those kinds of things. And he always, says at the beginning, half of you are better players than me, but I think I have something to contribute. And he does. And I think that's what he's known for. And that's unusual because, it's not all about just playing all this crazy, amazing stuff. So he's also, because of that, been asked to be the MC of a lot of major drumming events, because everybody knows him and he's a great MC. And he also is endorsed by a number of different companies. So everybody wants to have him endorse their product because he's talking to everybody, and, he's a promoter. And so he even has this thing, I thought this was kind of cute, is wisdom. His name's Dom, and he does have a lot of wisdom. And he has this, I guess, this media site where, it's named Wisdom. And I think that that's perfect for him. And here's a picture of him, holding the globe, which I thought was good because, again, he's got students all over everywhere. And I have, yes, met him. So here he's hanging on my wall in my studio. I went to a clinic when he looked like that, so it was a while ago. And he wrote, and I think he writes this a lot, Karen, enjoy drumming, Dom. And I thought that was, a lot of people just sign their name or whatever, but he personalized it, and it was about the enjoyment of drumming, not just like, aspiring to be like perfect or whatever. Just, enjoy drumming. What a great message. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I met him again quite a number of years later, and he wrote on this drum head. And again, he wrote the same thing. And this was many years later. Karen, enjoy drumming, Dom Famularo. So I just thought that was so Dom. And you can later on click on these videos. I think one of them, I can't remember why I selected them. I think one is an instructional thing, and one of them is maybe him playing or something like that. So that is Dom Famularo, our drummer of the week. Any questions about that?
On his brushes, were his brushes standard size or are they bigger?
Ooh,
they look
good.
bigger to me.
Let's see. Let me go back.
Well, I mean, not that I know what brushes look like, but that they just look big for some reason.
And where does he live?
He lives in New York, and he's got a really great New York accent. And he's just got an infectious laugh. I'm looking at the pictures now to see if I can see his, oh, let's see, his brushes. Which picture was it? I think it looks like brushes, but that was just a stick and it was in motion. I think, yeah, that was, let me share my screen again. Hang on one second here. I think you just saw a stick in motion, and it looked, I think it looked like a
big brush.
Yeah, I think it did. Let's see. Let me see if I can get it back here. Share screen. There it is. I think the picture you might have been referring to was this one. Let me make it bigger. Is that what you saw?
Yeah.
That's a stick in motion.
Yeah. Oh. Oh,
it does look like a big
big.
brush, but he does know how to play brushes. Um, so I just wanted to pick somebody different because sometimes I pick players and most people, unless you're a drummer, you've never heard of Dom. But if you're a drummer, you've heard of Dom. You know Dom probably. You've had a conversation with him. He's that kind of guy. He knows everybody, talks to everybody, super nice. He's the kind of guy you meet him and immediately you feel like you've known him your whole life and you're really comfortable with him. And you could talk about anything and he laughs and he's just fun. I've never seen him scowl or be unhappy or he's positivity, Mr. Positivity, and just promoting drums all over the place. And so I was like, he deserves to be the drummer of the week. Let's talk about Dom. And he's done a lot in he did during COVID, he did a lot of stuff for drum teachers. So I attended some of his sessions via Zoom about how to do drum lessons via Zoom because he's been doing this before a lot of us were forced to. I mean, I never gave online lessons before. I never wanted to because I wanted to do it live and it just works out, but he's been doing it that way forever. And so there were groups of drum teachers in the early COVID way back, February, March of last year. And a lot of them don't have another job like I do. That is their job. And if you lose your ability to teach, you are done. And so all these drum teachers were like, what equipment do I need? How can I do this? And what we all discovered was less is more. Sometimes having just a practice pad and your phone is a whole lot better than all this fancy stuff. And I would agree. I ended up doing some of that stuff, but it was frustrating. And half your lesson was trying to get the view and can you see me? Can you hear me? I can't see you. I can't hear you. Can you put it here? Try this. Echo. And it was just so frustrating. And sometimes the best lesson would just be like go to your kitchen because you got a countertop, put your pad there, get your sticks, get your laptop or your phone, bring it so that I can see your hands and that worked out great. So anyway, he was really encouraging in the early days of COVID when everybody was freaking out about how am I going to be able to eat because I teach 60 students a week and now I can't teach anybody, especially kids, So anyway, so I just was like, yeah, he was very positive and encouraging. Other questions about Dom or just anything new and different for anybody this week that came up with regard to music and drumming? Oh, Molly, we get to see your cat. We saw a glimpse of your cat and your hat. Is that a new cat, Molly? Oh, looks like a little kitty. Uh-oh, maybe you didn't want us to see your little kitty. Cute.
Looks like she's on a beach or somewhere.
I know. Somewhere fun. So does Jasmine. Jasmine looks like she's in Hawaii or something like that. Where are you at, Jasmine? Where's that picture?
It's a picture of a New Zealand beach that I want to go to someday.
Oh, right. I think we saw that before.
Yeah,
I was
favorite.
fortunate enough to go to New Zealand a couple years ago, and it was one of the most beautiful places on the
Oh,
planet.
yeah.
Want to
Yeah.
know a fun fact about New Zealand? Maybe I already told you this. What's one animal that is not on New Zealand? Maybe we talked about this already.
Not on like any animal on the planet, not there.
There's one in particular that is not there that some people are happy that animal is not there.
Uh,
Giraffe, a hippopotamus.
They probably don't have that either, but they don't have snakes. There are no snakes in New Zealand.
What?
None.
No way. You just go out in the ocean and they'll get you.
No, not in New Zealand. There are no
They
snakes.
have the most deadly Pacific Ocean around Australia, and that area has the most deadly snakes on the world. The sea snakes.
Yeah, in Australia, near the water, but like on New Zealand, there are
In the water.
no snakes. And the other thing is they have tons of rabbits. I think we talked about that already, since they don't have any natural predator. So lots of rabbits and no snakes. And anyway, so that's just kind of a fun fact.
I got one for you. Do you know you can get DNA tests for your cats now and find out if they're going to have any bad things happen to them genetically?
Well, that's good to know.
What's that got to do with drumming, huh?
Nothing. It has nothing to do with drumming.
All right, so let's
Last night.
I have some music here, and I thought we could attempt to do it. And like I said, sometimes the best lessons are when you don't have that much stuff. I do have a practice pad. I have my sticks, and then I have 3 pieces of music that I thought we could talk about that I sent a while back. One is Moving Forward, one is The Chase, and one is The Invader. And so let's see, why don't we start with Moving Forward, if you all want to pull that up, and we could talk about it and play some of that. And I do have my sticks here and a practice pad that I think I can get my, yeah. So that ought to work pretty well. So moving forward. Say that again.
Are we doing moving forward first?
Yes, let's do moving forward. And let's talk about it. Let's do the snare part. And basically, we have kind of done this. Really, if you look at it, you either have 16th notes or 8th notes. And so, for instance, measure number 1, those are 4 16th notes and then 2 8th notes. So we would count that 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and. But if that's difficult for you, we can go back to pepperoni and chocolate. So pepperoni is 4 16th notes. Pepperoni. And then the chocolate, those are 8th notes. They're half as fast. So it's going to go fast, 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 slow, slow, fast, 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 slow, slow. So pepperoni, chocolate, pepperoni, chocolate. The next measure is 2 pepperonis and 2 chocolates. Pepperoni, pepperoni, chocolate, chocolate. And then we go back to the first measure again, exactly the same, and then we do the second measure again. So basically we're just repeating. So let's do that first line. You can either play it or sing it. I'll kind of play it and sing it at the same time, and I'll count pepperonis because I think that might be easier for people rather than one eandas. So 1, 2, here we go. Pepperoni, chocolate, pepperoni, chocolate, pepperoni, pepperoni, chocolate, chocolate, pepperoni, chocolate, pepperoni, chocolate, pepperoni, pepperoni, chocolate, chocolate. If you look at the next line, it's a bunch of pepperonis. Each measure has 4 pepperonis, which is total of 8. And then we have a bunch of chocolates, all right? So it's just, you just want to keep track of which one you're on. So, you know, and after a while, I mean, that's where I like counting 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. And if you do the pepperoni method, you have to remember, you know, which pepperoni you're on, and there's 8 of them, so you could get lost. So with this one, I think I'm going to count the 1 eandas just to help us. And then when we get to the 8th notes, we could count chocolate, chocolate, and so on. But 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That way you know where you are. Okay, so we're going to do the second line. Let's play it, and I'll count. 1, 2, here we go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Next line, third line down, it's pretty much the same exact thing as the first line. So it shouldn't be anything too scary. And then the last line, you'll notice, is exactly what we did in the second line. All right. So, you know, this one would be really easy to memorize, and it would be a great warm up that, you know, that you wouldn't have to like think too hard about. So let's try the whole thing. We can go slower if people want. Are people happy with this tempo, or does it seem like it's kind of too fast? What are your thoughts? Is it good? Jasmine's got a thumbs up. All right, let's give it a try.
Which one are we on? Are we on Invader?
No, we're on moving forward.
Moving forward.
Yep. Moving forward, and we can do Invader next if you
I
want.
wonder why it didn't line up.
All right.
I got it now.
Got it? Okay, we're going to try it from the top. All right, I'm going to count, like, I won't do pepperonis, I'll do normal music singing. 1, 2, here we go. 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, third line. 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right. I hope it went well. So that's moving forward. So that would be a great little exercise to play. Let's take a look at Invader. Let's talk it through. We're going to look at the snare part again. That's the top line. And again, our choices are all either eighth notes or 16th notes, or we have some quarter notes. And so it's really not too terrible. And we've got some accents. And we do have some rim shots, which I won't actually do on my little pad, but we would want to do a rim shot and get that choo-choo train beat, you know, chat, 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 when we get to the end of the first line. So basically the first two measures, let me kind of play it. It's going to go 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so that's not too terrible. And then we have just 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, and then 1 and 2 and 3. Rest. That's a rest. Then we got that choo-choo train beat, and that's, I'm going to put my hands here. That's where I would go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E, and we do it again. And again, 2, 3, 4, and the last time. And that would be the end of that one. Okay, so it's really not too terrible. So let's try it, the whole thing together. I think I kind of like using my hands here rather than the sticks. So here we go. 1, 2, here we go. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 and 3. Rest. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. All right. Hopefully it went well. Nice. These are going to be so much fun when we actually get to play them like together in a room, hopefully someday, and you know, actually make music out of this stuff. Let's look at the chase. Yes.
When we do the rim shot, are we hitting the drum like toward us or away from us, the top or the bottom of the snare?
Yeah, good question. So when we normally do rim, so this is a round drum, okay, we'll say, and this is a two-way practice pad. I kind of like it because this side's that sound and this one's more bouncy, feels different. And it doesn't move around too much, which I like, and it's small. So if this were a drum, anytime I'm going to play the rim, just the rim, I would go up to the top of the drum. When I'm doing the rim shot, I'm going to be closer to myself, and I'm going to be doing the head of the stick as well as the shoulder. And in a real drum, we'd have a rim that stands up. So this part's touching the drum and this part's touching the rim. And when I do that at the same time, two places are touching, you're going to get that really loud pop, like a gunshot. That's a rim shot. And we do that a lot in marching. So that's why I was kind of like simulating over here toward me. Now, if it wasn't a rim shot and it was just a rim, it would be up here. It would be up on the rim with my stick. So either rim shot, rim, just regular rim shot, or this is called a stick shot. Sometimes they put one stick down and you hit the other stick. That can give you kind of a popping, cool sound too. That's called a stick shot. And then just a stick click is where we click our sticks together. And then the last thing is the cross stick. That's where we turn our stick over, like when we're doing the bossa nova, when the butt of the stick is hitting the rim. So those are all our choices for rims and where they would be. How do you know which one to do where? In the music, it will usually tell you, and in this one, it doesn't tell you, but I just know that in marching, when it's got that little teepee above it, it's emphasized, and they want a shot. That's what they want, is a rim shot. And when you listen to it, you can hear it. Shot, shot. Sounds like a gunshot. Usually they'll tell you. So they all look like an X. And you're trying to figure out, well, is that a rim? Do they want a stick shot? Is that a stick click? Is that a cross stick? They'll usually have a little legend, like a map. We'll have a little legend, and it'll just say, you know, X equals cross stick, or X equals, or sometimes they'll have an SS, stick shot, RS, rim shot. Sometimes it depends on who the composer is. And sometimes you don't know. And if you don't know, you just listen to it and you decide, okay, I think this is what they want. But hopefully they've given you some direction, either in the legend or at least wrote the word out the first time they show it. Or if they want something else, maybe they want that to be a cymbal crash. Standard drum music always has the snare on the third space up. Bass is always on the lowest space, the F space. Cymbals are going to vary. Sometimes they'll put it on the top space, a little X. Sometimes they'll put it on the top line, little different. And they'll either have an HH for hi-hat or RC ride cymbal. Tom-toms are usually, you know, the top line, the top space, the next space, your two rack toms. And then floor tom a lot of times shares the line with bass drum, but the stems are going up versus down. So that's kind of like standard notation. And then there are some deviations. So good question. How do you know? Hopefully they're going to tell you. And if they don't, you listen and try to figure it out as best you can. But those are the choices of things on the rim and how you do it. I know that's a long answer to a short question, but you know how I get excited. I'm like Dom. I want to take off and talk about stuff because it's fun. You know, drums are fun. If you're not having fun, I love how he wrote enjoy drumming. Not everybody writes that. They just scrawl their name, you know, or whatever. I think that captures it pretty well. Other questions about anything before we do the chase is our next one. Everybody ready for the chase?
So like on the tenor drums on this piece, which is, how do you know which one is 1 and or 2, or is that 1 and 2?
So yeah, tenors is always going to be, there's 4 spaces. So they'll usually have, sometimes they'll have something above the staff, but most of the time the 1 drum is the top space. The 2 drum is the second space. The 3 drum is the third space, and the 4 drum is the lowest space. And then the stock drum is above the staff, either on the line. Sometimes there's two Spock drums, the little bitty ones that look like bongos. They will put them above the first line. So, and sometimes tenors are 4 drums, 5 drums, 6 drums. And there used to be a time where there was 3. There was a time when I was in high school, we called them tritoms. And we didn't have 5 yet. We just had 3. They were bigger drums. And then they got to quads. Okay. Then they got to quints. I played quints in drum corps. And now they have 6. So,
Oh, Lord.
and it just depends. It just depends. Right now, the most popular are quints, and the 6-pack are 6. You still see quads in high schools, but you don't see tritoms anymore. That's kind of an old school thing. But they were kind of like the first tenors were the tritoms.
Okay.
And back in the day, when I was marching troopers, we marched timpani. Can you believe that? 4 people played timpani.
Oh,
Each person carried,
huge.
yeah, everybody carried one. And it was kind of like the bass line. You played your part collectively. So it's like you would play the high drum or you'd be the low drum and you carried them. And also back then they were carrying the bells, the glockenspiel where you kind of hold it in one hand and play with the other. Now the pit or the front ensemble is all stationary. They're all up front playing beautiful marimbas and things like that. So you don't march those around, but there was a time some high schools still probably march holding a glockenspiel, but it's kind of lame in my opinion. It's one hand and it's ding, ding, ding. I don't know. It's not very, you can't write very good music for the glockenspiel. You got to have 2 hands. And I mean, you saw some of the drum corps stuff where they were just doing they're playing 4 mallets like crazy. All this kind of stuff. So, yeah. So anyway, that's my opinion, but it's kind of fun to have seen the evolution of some of this stuff. But we used to march these things called high steppers. I still have one. It's where your drum is way out in front of you, and there's this little metal thing that goes and it kind of rests on your waist. The reason it's called a high stepper is because you would march really high, and there are some schools that still do high steppers because they're more of a show band and they march really high. But most drum corps, you march really low, and the drums are on a carrier that are lower, much lower than that high stepper thing. So you still will see some colleges use high steppers, but okay, so let's do the chase next. Let's talk about it. So the first part, the first 4 measures are easy. They're just right hand on the snare. And notice how a minute ago I told you that snare should always be on the 3rd space up. Well, here's a perfect example where it's not. It's on the 2nd space. I don't know. Cassidy is a good composer, so I don't know why. Maybe it got lost in the translation. Actually, now that I look at it, all of them are on the 2nd space. So that's usually not how it goes, just so you know. And he usually knows better, so I'm not sure if it got lost in the translation or whatever. But but anyway, that's the snare part. We're playing the right hand, 4 measures worth. And then we have our choo-choo train beat, but it's not every single time. It's on the 2 and the 4. So for instance, if I'm doing the choo-choo train, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and then the last measure in the first line is the 2, the 3, the 4 are all going to be over here. So it's going to go 1 E and 2 E and 3. Oh, sorry. I got to think about it. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and then he goes back to 2 and 4 again, and then the 2, 3, 4, and then it continues on all the way. So it's really not too terrible. Let's just try to play the whole thing. Okay, so here we go. Not too fast. Starting with the right hand. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 Okay, not too bad. And that one is meant to go at 145, which is pretty fast. So, you know, that choo-choo train beat is going to end up going about. That's how it's supposed to go. So, you know, but we don't have to worry about speed right now. But that's, you know, it sounds so much groovier, right? It's just like kind of a thing. And it's really not all that terrible, you know, once you kind of practice. Everything's practice. There's no mystery, you know, there's no mystery about anything. It's just repetition, repetition, repetition. You get good at what you do. If what you do is watch TV, you get good at watching TV. If you play drums, you know, it doesn't just, not everybody can do it. You got to practice, you know, like with anything. You get good at what you spend your time doing. So it gets easier. You never want to go faster than what sounds good. And you never just want to overplay, but you want to play what the song wants. And this song's got that little, you know, you just want to groove to it, you know, so. Okay, so we still have 20 minutes and we already did our 3 songs. Does anybody have any other, anybody hear any cool songs this week that they really liked or anything like that? No new songs? I always am hearing new songs. Let's see. This week I actually heard a song on the radio and I liked it so much I called the radio station. Well, I went to their website hoping I could see, okay, at 1:38 I was driving in the car and I heard the song and I wrote it down. 1:38. What song was played at 1:38? And I went to the internet, I pulled it up, and sometimes they'll actually post their songs. This was playing at 12:05 and this was playing at whatever. They didn't have it. So I called the radio station and I asked them and they were super nice. And the person found out for me and called me back and gave me the name of the song. And it was on the jazz station here in Atlanta. But the song they told me 2 songs because they were like, it's either this one or this one. And I don't think that was the song, but I liked that song too. I think it was the song before. And I called them back a second time, trying not to be annoying, but I was kind of like, could you just tell me the song before that other song? And I didn't hear back, but I did like the song that they, I'll play it for you because I think you'll be able to hear it a little bit here. I think I've got it on here. And I liked it. Oh, I liked it because, well, first of all, it's somebody I've never heard of before, saxophone player. And what he did on his album was he buddied up with other saxophone players that I do know, and he does like something with them. And so his name is Michael Langdon. And the song that I liked, this wasn't the one that I really wanted that had the cool percussion on it. It was really, you know, when you just hear a song, I don't know about you, but I can remember certain songs where I was. There was a certain song in Target one time. And when I heard it, I was like, I have to find out who that is. I stopped dead in my tracks and was just listening like, oh my gosh, who is that? I got to find that out. And I did find out who it was. And it was awesome. And I will always remember that. And certain songs, you know, you remember where you were when you heard it. And I always write it down because then I'm like, I want to play to that one or I want to look that one up. So this one was called Up All Night. And this guy plays, like I said, saxophone, and he looks young. So I'm like, cool, a new person to follow. Let's see if I can find it and let you hear a little bit of it. Let's see. Because sometimes that's where I hear songs first, is just on the radio. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if you can hear this. Oh, that's not the right band. There's a lot of songs called Up All Night, but it's not by him. Michael Langdon. Okay, come on now. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Oh, and the person he's on with is Boney James, who is somebody that I like, who plays saxophone as well. So hopefully you can hear that a little bit. So it's got this. So it's jazz. So it's got this like kind of a thing going on. And, you know, they would label that smooth jazz, which I don't like that term because that makes it sound like dentist chair music or elevator music. But anyway, Boney James is a great sax player. If you've not listened to him, he's contemporary, but he always has a great rhythm section, and jazz is just happy, and it's always got a great rhythm section. I mean, all the players are great players. And the thing I like best is there's nobody singing because I don't want to hear the singer, you know? I want to hear the band. And if you have a singer, then the band has to dumb it down and play out of the way and try to, you know, quiet in the back and stay out. And then everybody focuses on the words, but I don't care about the words. I want to hear the music. I want to hear the rhythm. And I don't want to hear boring stuff that I've already heard before a million times. I want something interesting and new. So that's just me. But not everybody thinks that way. People, a lot of times, the reason songs are popular is because people who don't know music glom on to like, oh, you know, they can nod their head to it. And so for them, that's what they like. But for me, it's like, kind of want something else now because I already heard that a bunch of times. I want something new. And so the way I like this song is it's a conversation between two saxophones. You know, it's just like this one's doing a little something something, and then this one's doing a little something something, and they're individuals, and you can tell the difference of who Boney James is and who Michael Langton is. And they have a flavor, just like drummers. You can kind of hear it, and you're like, oh, that's Gad, or whatever. Hopefully, you got to watch that interview with him. He's just such a cool, interesting guy. But anyway, so that was the song that I heard this week that I liked.
Yeah, sometime will you play us some of your favorite Gad pieces?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. I bet I could actually pull one up right now that's really popular that you all already know. And let me pull it up and see if you recognize it. It's an older one. And he does something really simple, like he always does. But every drummer knows this. Every person has probably heard this song. But it's just typical Gad. Okay, so tell me if you've heard this before. Here we go. So, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover was a really popular song quite a long time ago. And the way that song came about, he was warming up. He was just playing around. And the song started and he just kind of kept playing. And I mean, who else would have thought to put that beat to that song? Nobody in the whole world. He was just warming up. And as he was warming up, somebody else was kind of warming up the song that they were getting ready to record. And he was just like, I'm just going to play this at the beginning. And it's so perfect, and it's so nobody else. And that song was super popular, and it's really not that hard what he's doing, but it's got a really nice groove. And anyway, that's a typical example of Gad. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, that opening snare thing. And it was kind of like in this new book that he just did, his first and only book. You know, these are the kind of little warm-ups that he would do. You know, it was his warm-up routine. And by the way, you know, I don't know, I'm a little worried when I saw that interview. Personally, I think he does not look good to me. So I think that he okay, off the record, I think Gad might be dying. That's just my thought. Okay. He looks too thin, and I know he's older, but I almost wonder if like this book was out there just because maybe he knows something. That's my medical side of me. He doesn't look like Gad, but I hope that's not true. So anyway, I'm glad he got a book out, but I'm a little worried about him. So I'm just waiting to hear because all these guys, Chick Corea went this year, Al Jarreau went not too long ago. Everybody's starting to, you know, they do their time and move on. So I hope not. So I hope he's around forever and ever. But anyway, he's lost weight. Okay. Other things. Molly, you got anything? Any new cool songs?
No, I've been looking for something to just practice, while I'm sitting here in my house. And I just happened to what I had been, I can't remember what I was listening to. I was trying to, it was just, you always used to get mad at me because I always wanted to look at the music and you wanted me to just listen. So I've been trying to listen and drum that way. But
Yeah.
I just don't do really good at it because sometimes the drums are way at the back. So I found this song where the drums are really, really, really way to the fore. And it's from 1966. It's the Marvelettes, When the Hunter Gets Captured by the Game. Do you remember that, Jasmine or Barb? Do you remember that?
Let me look it up. When the Hunter, what's it called?
When the hunter, or I think it's just the hunter gets captured by the game. Jerry Garcia did a cover of it. Blondie did a cover of it. A lot of people have covered it. But it's just, I've always loved this song, and I had totally forgotten about it until I just bumped into it on the internet.
Okay, here you go. Let's see if this is it. Okay, yeah, it's here. All right, here it goes. Don't you love Apple Music? Boom, it's there in 2 seconds. All right, here it goes. The Marvelettes. Oh, come on. I think I'm having trouble with my, it's here. I can see it. Why can't I see it?
Every day things change and the world puts on a new face. Certain things rearrange and this whole world seems like a new place.
Okay, so yeah, what they're doing there is kind of like we've done this beat. Was a while back when we were live. Mashed potato, mashed potato, mashed potato. It's almost like a shuffle. Bum ba dum 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 ba dum. And if we were over on a hi hat, we could do something. We could actually. Well, let me play open-handed here. Bum ba dum 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 ba dum. So this is what's happening over here. Two things, two things, two things, two things, two things, two things, two things. Da-dum, 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 da-da, 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 da-da. And I know you like it, Molly, because it's kind of triplety. So we could actually do it with two hands. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. And then the fill, one triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Let's try it with the song and see if it fits. So it's triplets. One triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet, one triplet, two triplet, three triplet, four triplet. So it's got that Dum da dum da dum da dum da dum. I knew it had to have triplets in it because Molly loves triplets. Everything has that triplety kind of da 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 dum da dum da dum da dum kind of bluesy sound. What do you think,
And if it
Molly?
doesn't have it, I will put it in there.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Okay, let's see. We've got about 7 minutes. Any new anything else people want to for next week? We'll do drummer of the week again. Anything maybe I'll send you some new music because we've kind of done these three. Do you like doing this music? Shall I keep sending it or people like it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, let's play some with if you can slow it down, we could try playing it.
Yeah, I actually have it and I can do that next week because I've got my big I can slow it down and hopefully we can play along. So that would be good. Definitely.
Aaron, I'm wondering why, when we're practicing this, we never do the bass line, the bass drum. Is there a reason that you've been leaving that out?
Yeah, because it's pretty much the bass part is like 4 or 5 people, but we could play the whole thing as one person. And I do leave it out a lot because it's got a lot of single eighth notes. And I just think a lot of new people struggle with, they're good if eighth notes are next to each other, like when they're tied. But when they're a single eighth note by itself, it's very syncopated. We're playing on the ands, but we certainly could do that. I just think some people find it really confusing. So, for instance, if we wanted to play, let's just pull up one of these as a perfect example. Is like, let's look at the chase. We have the first part, that first measure, 1 and 2 and. That's not hard, but then you see that little doohickey that looks like a, I don't know, a little barbell. That's an eighth rest. So it gets the 3, but it doesn't get all of 3. It only gets the 3, it doesn't get the and. Then you see that single note that's got the cat tail, looks like a cat's tail. That's the and of 3. And then we play 4. 4 is easy. So most people, it's easy to go 1 and 2 and rest 4, but we have to play on the and of 3. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So that 3 is going to be rested, but it's not all of 3. So bum, 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 ba-dum. It's got that little syncopation, and some people, that little single eighth note freaks them out when we're playing on the ands. But we certainly could talk about it because I think we're probably ready for it. I just don't want to make it hard on people. But really, this is not too terrible other than that little syncopated thing. When I look at some of the others, we definitely could do Invader. It's pretty easy. And we actually, moving forward, is pretty much the same as the snare line. So it's really no different. But I do avoid it on purpose because it's got a lot of ands. And so, like, if we wanted to just play, I know we have about 4 minutes left. You know, if we just want to play on the ands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So imagine, you know, like in a symphony, the bass drum player is going to be on the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. A lot of times the snare player is on the ands. So it's kind of like boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So you get good at playing on the ands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. But for some people, it's a little hard. So, but if you all want to, we can definitely, I could pull up some music that has some eighth notes where they're not always together, where they're on the ands. You know, like the disco beat is on the ands. So if you think about the disco beat, where the feet are going to go together, the bass and the hi-hat are on the 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to play the ands on the hi-hat. Boom, shunk, 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 shunk. Like We Are Family. Dunk, shunk, 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 shunk. That's on the ands. You know, YMCA, all those kind of like disco-y beats. You're playing on the off beats, which are kind of fun and interesting from a musical perspective. Boom, shunk, 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 shunk. You know, so anyway, we can start playing on some ands. I'm good with that. So I can make a note of, we want to do some eighth notes. We want to do some more cadences. Maybe I'll send you some homework, drum homework, and I'll send you the Dom so you can look and listen to his links. How's that sound? Good?
Yeah. Okay,
Awesome.
now I'm gonna go play YMCA.
Yes. Or We Are Family, or any of those sort of 70s disco-y songs. And quite honestly, those beats are still popular today. We just call them different things. We don't call it the disco beat. It's the offbeat ride, where you're playing on the bell of the cymbal, or you're playing on a cowbell, oonch, 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 kind of a thing. And even rock music, I've even heard it in metal music. And I might have to highlight a metal drummer because we haven't done that. And I know metal sounds like a lot of noise, but in order to play it, you have to be really good, because it's fast, 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 fast. And you can't be like everybody thinks those guys are a bunch of druggies, but they're not, because you wouldn't be able to do it. It's fast, and you have to be an athlete, to play through those songs. They'll wear you out. So I might focus on metal drumming next week, just to expand our horizons. You might not like it. I don't particularly like it, but I appreciate it because it's not easy. And they play a lot of odd time signatures. They play super lightning fast, and you have to be really, really in shape to do it, because otherwise, 2 songs and you're done for the night. You can't play it that fast for hours and hours. So they actually are good players, believe it or not, including the guitar players. And it sounds like they're wailing and screaming and making a lot of noise, but it's harder than you think. So you have to at least.
We're taking a rock and roll class too. Do you know that? They've had it.
Good.
There's a guy who's been doing rock and roll, and we just did Elvis and that whole era.
Nice.
We started off at the turn of the century, though. It was really cool.
Well, if you have some suggestions for drummers that come up, or bands, we could do some of that. So send me in an email anything that came up that you're curious about from the drumming
I
perspective.
did Jerry Lee Lewis, and he had a drummer.
Okay.
They did Little Richard.
Oh yeah. Good stuff. Awesome.
A whole bunch of others. It was starting to sound more familiar for my era,
Yes, definitely. That's good stuff. All right, I'm gonna let you all go. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Give us the medical tip. Let's learn some medicine.
All right, today we're talking about the shoulder exam. So
Oh,
the biceps tendinosis.
okay. Figure out what to do about a pull rotary something cuff
Yeah,
or something.
that's what we're doing right now. Rotator cuff.
That's what I got pulled.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We can
Give me some
definitely-
tips.
Okay. All right. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.